Hello, yogis. Thanks for joining me today for Yin Yoga. And thanks for supporting me and Ironwood Yoga Studios. You guys are awesome, and it's great to be here with you every Saturday. Today, we will be using a block, so make sure you have whatever you have, that whether it's a block or whatever you're using in place of one, and we'll be using that. And if you use bolsters or any cushions, make sure that you have those handy. All right, and we're going to start lying on the back today. So just go ahead and get comfortable. Take a deep inhale. And slowly begin to scan the body and notice wherever it is that you're holding or gripping. And whether that's holding back or maybe holding in, holding on. So where we're holding intellectually or emotionally or even spiritually will eventually find its way into the physical body. So as we move through these poses, we want to get into this level of discomfort that you can sit in, and that really is getting into that holding. Yin is based on a lot of traditional Chinese medicine concepts. One is the system of the meridians, those energy channels that run through the body that are associated to a particular system or organ function. And then also on this idea of suppleness in the joints and getting fluid back into ligaments and tendons that become thin and more stiff and brittle over time. A lot of the yang practices that we do, if we are constantly losing fluids through sweat, then we start to get a little bit more stiff and brittle over time. So yin is the perfect antidote for the stiffness in the joints, and also creates length and compression as well for the meridians, and stimulates that flow of qi through the body. So take a deep inhale here. And as we move through the practice today, I'll bring the awareness back to the breath and that observation of how the body moves as you breathe. This incredible shape-shifting quality of the torso in various shapes is a huge part of the meditative and deeper qualities of this practice, as well as finding that level of discomfort. Where are you holding? So go ahead and bring the knees to the chest. And then drop the knees on over to the right side. We'll just start here in a very easy twist. So you can keep the knees up near the shoulder or move the knees further away. It's going to depend on you, what feels best right now. I will be using my timer throughout class. That's why I'm looking at my watch. Relax the jaw. And bring the knees back to center. And then drop the knees on over to the other side. And bring the knees back to center, level out the hips and the shoulders. And then go ahead and slide the feet away from you, yogis. We're gonna come into a pose called Bananasana. So it's really like a big old crescent shape. So we'll start by walking the feet on over to the right side, all the way off of the mat. And then this inside edge, right? So you wanna take that inside ankle and cross it over that outside leg. It's going to keep you anchored, and you can start to shimmy the shoulders over a little bit. So we're looking for lots of length on one side, lots of compression along this other side. You can bring the arms up overhead, but if that pops this shoulder up, then just take the arms out so that you can keep both shoulders on the mat. Hold on here. And in this pose, if you're near a wall, I do like to use the wall to give me a little bit of leverage. I'll just kind of push into it so it can help me get over further than I'm capable of doing on my own without that bit of assistance. Nice, calm, slow, deep breaths. So in these shapes that we get into in a yin practice, it's really easy to be aware of the soft tissues and how that feels. Even though we aren't really stretching muscles, you want to keep everything relaxed, but also go in deeper and check in with the shape of the spine right now. So the spine doing exactly what it's designed to do, which is this really nice lateral movement. There's length on one side and compression on the other. And it's that bone-on-bone compression that strengthens the bones if it's done correctly. Compression is what strengthens each little vertebra. So even in the most limited range of motion, there are infinite possibilities once you start to take that awareness in just deeper, beyond the surface. And we're here for about 1 more minute. Okay, yogis, to come out of this, scoot the shoulders back to center. Uncross the ankles and bend the knees so that you can walk the feet back to center, and then level out the hips and the shoulders here. You can give the knees a squeeze if that gives you some relief in the low back, or you can also take the feet about mat width apart and drop the knees in toward each other, whichever feels better for you. And let's do that on the other side. Slide the feet away from you, start to walk them on over to the left side. Get them as far over as you can, and then use that inside ankle to anchor everything. And then shimmy the shoulders over. It's really easy to daydream in a yin practice, and we are lengthening and opening areas where we are holding. So memories and thoughts will always come up, and I encourage you to let them come up and drift around and follow them and see where they go. You don't have to think. I'll tell you when it's time to move. Daydreaming is when we consolidate what we've learned. It's also a really important way also to allow the mind to just take a rest, and maybe solutions come up to long-term problems or situations. daydream away. Relax the jaw. Yogis, start to scoot the shoulders back to center. Bend the knees and walk the feet back. And level out the hips and the shoulders. You can bring the knees to the chest. And then grab the outer edges of the feet. This is what I call dead bug, often called happy baby, but that's a very young experience. So dead bug, you can let your hands, the weight of your hands, pull the legs, the feet down a little bit. If this seems impossible, this is usually pretty doable. So you can bring the soles of the feet together and have the feet a little bit further away from you and let the hands keep the feet in place. or take the feet up like this. It's okay if the low back lifts up a little bit. You can also straighten the legs here if you prefer. Whatever you can do, and stay in it for about 3 minutes. Notice how the body moves as you breathe in this position. Take a deep inhale. And sometimes it's a matter of really deciding what it is you're willing to let go of. Not just say you want to or think about letting go of, but what are you really willing to let go of? And last few breaths here. Nice work, yogis. Start to slowly bring the knees back to the chest. Give them a squeeze here. We'll take an easy twist just to let all of that go. Drop the knees on over to the right side just for a couple of breaths. And then on over to the other side. And bring the knees back to center. And you can rock up and down the spine a few times here. If you are able to do it, please do it, because I can't. So rock up and down the spine. You can Notice any flat spots and try to smooth them out. Maybe 3 or 4 more rocks. And then roll all the way up to a seated position. Nice work. And take that right leg out to the side. You can turn sideways on your mat or get some cushion under that heel if you like. And I'll give you a couple of choices here. You can bring this foot to the inside, or if you prefer, you can take this foot back behind you. If you love that type of internal rotation, we're going to come right into a forward fold here. If you feel like it's only tight on the back of the leg or along the inner thigh, bend this knee. We want to get away from this idea of stretching muscles and getting into the discomfort in the joint itself. And that's how we can know or remember suppleness. And keep that leg that's extended really relaxed. If there's a natural internal rotation, that's totally fine. There's no emphasis to keep the toes up like there would be in a yang practice. And last few breaths here. Yogis, use the hands to walk the torso up to vertical, and then we'll take a twist over the leg that's extended and walk right back down. So in this position, I like to take the arm and go beyond, like go to the outside of that leg. It gets more into this side for me. And every pose has a different functional purpose for every body, so it just depends on where it feels most effective for you. And last few breaths here, yogis. Nice work. And slowly bring the torso up. And if you have the foot back behind you, bring it around to the front, scoot that foot away, and then stack that other leg right on top. So we're going to come straight into either, I'll give you 3 options here, square pose, and you really want that top ankle to hang out past the knee. So you want to make sure you're not dumping into the ankle here. So slide it out past, make sure the knees are in line, or the shins, and then you can come into a forward fold. If you can do this and come into it, go for it. If you feel like this knee is kind of far away, support it with a block maybe. And if this is horrible, it's a lot of external rotation, and so it creates torque on the knees. You can always stack the knees like this, less torque, come into a forward fold. And if this is awful, then straighten that bottom leg. All right, and then pretty much everybody can do this, okay? So whichever version, kind of futz around with it. We'll be here long enough for you to find just that right position. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's okay. Okay. And then the other thing that I like to do if you're in this position, so I do tend to like to get more into, you know, particularly since I had that accident, getting into that side lower part of my body is really good. So I love to take a twist here, kind of anchor it with the back of my arm into the arch of the foot. So it's kind of like a little bit of an all everything pose for me. Nice work, yogis. About 1 more minute here. Nice work. If you are in that twist, go ahead and come back to center first, and then help the torso up to vertical, and help the legs to move. We'll give them a little squeeze here. There's no rush to get in or out of any of these shapes. This is a Yin stems from Taoist practices. Paul Grilly studied with a guy named Polly Zink, and he would say to live in the Tao, move like a cow. So slow moving. And you can bounce the knees a little bit, rock the legs side to side. Just let all of that go. And we'll do that on the other side. If you had that foot behind you or in front of you, either way, we'll start right down the center. Yogis use the hands to walk the torso up. Take that twist over the leg that's extended, and then we'll walk right back down. Relax the jaw. Notice how the body moves as you breathe in this position. That simple observation of the breath is the quickest way to bring you into the present moment. And pulls you right out of those dreams and memories. And last few breaths here. Yogis, start to walk that torso up to vertical. The legs back behind you, bring it around to the front and slide that foot away. So we're going to cross the ankle over the knee, come right into either square pose or shoelace with the knees stacked, or straighten that bottom leg. No rush, all right? And last few breaths here. Yogis, start to slowly walk the torso up. Help the legs to move. Give them a squeeze here. And bounce the knees a little bit. You can take the hands back behind you, get some length along the front of the body. And then take the feet about mat width apart and start to drop the knees on over to one side. And then the other, just to get some of that internal rotation back up into the hip joint. Should feel pretty good right about now. Done a lot of external rotation. All right, I'll give you a few options for this next position we're going to get into. Okay, we're going to come into saddle. If you know it and you're happy getting into it, go for it. So ideally with this, you have the toes together and the knees apart. So if you like internal rotation and you like the feet to the outside of the hip and the knees together, that's totally up to you. You go for it. But otherwise, if you can sit on the heels like this, then you'll lay on the back. This is saddle. All right. So if you feel like this is awesome, but a little bit too much compression on the low back, go ahead and come into the half version, and then I'll let you know when it's time to switch, okay? And then if you feel like this is great, you love saddle, but you're kind of away from the floor, go ahead and shove a bolster or whatever you're using in place of a bolster under you. So cushions, maybe a rolled up blanket. You want to make sure that you're supporting the torso this way, not under the low back, making you go into a deeper back bend, okay? So then if this is a lot of compression on the tops of the feet and the ankles and the knees, so if it totally sucks for that reason, then just don't do it. Lie on the back, grab your block, and lift the hips. We'll put the block just near the sit bones, and then take the feet wide. So this is the same action that we're looking for in the pelvis. So this should feel pretty good. All right, so totally up to you, whichever version you want to get into. I'll set my timer for those of you that are in the half variation, all right? Yogis, if you're in the half version, slowly transition on over to the other side, okay? No rush. If you have both feet underneath you, I'm going to give you an option here for the last couple of minutes if you want to try something truly adventurous. This is actually my preferred way of doing this. So if you want, you can take the feet out underneath you, bring the heels in close, tuck the toes, and then roll onto the knees here. So it's the same shape. You're still on your buns, but you've got your toes tucked underneath you, and then you're on the top of the head. So we'll just do this for the last minute and a half if you like it. If you hate it, oh my God, get out of it. Yogis, if you transitioned into this tiptoe fish pose thing, just kind of slide back onto the back, and you're going to end up right here with your feet on the mat with your knees bent. If you have the block underneath you on its mid-height side, flip it onto its flat side. If you have the feet tucked underneath you, go ahead and one at a time bring the feet out, and then if you have the block, go ahead and remove it. We're all going to meet right up here on the back with the knees bent. Take the feet wide and drop the knees in toward each other. Nice work. And then bring the knees to the chest. Give them a squeeze here. And then if you want to roll up and down the spine a few times, go for it. Or just make your way up. Take the feet about hip width apart and come into a forward fold here. So that, if you feel like you're kind of stuck on the back of the hips, we're looking for that mobility, that forward tilt of the pelvis. You can always tuck something under the knees that's going to take the awareness off the hamstrings. And come as far forward as you can with a nice long spine, and then let the back round and let the head hang. If you have some space between you and the legs and you want something more, you can interlace the hands and rest them on the back of the head, just to give that little bit of weight along the spine that you might like it. Otherwise, you can tuck the block under the forehead to support the head. About 1 more minute. Nice work, yogis. Start to walk that torso up. Take the hands back behind you. Get some length along the front of the body. Bounce the knees, rock the legs side to side. We're going to meet up lying on the back. If you want to rock up and down the spine, go for it. Bring the knees to the chest, and then we'll come into a twist here. So you can either just keep the knees together, or if you want to come into, you can wrap that top leg around the bottom leg if you like. Or you can straighten that bottom leg and drop the knee across. So it's totally up to you. Come back to the awareness of the breath and how the body moves. With each inhale and each exhale. Bring the knees back to center. Level out the hips and the shoulders. I'll take that twist on over to the other side. Bring the knees back to center. Level out the hips and the shoulders. And slide the feet away from you for Shavasana. Take the feet wide, yogis, and today take the arms up overhead a little bit so you create lots of space, a real sense of vulnerability in the physical body here. So you give the body time to absorb this new information, this new energy flowing more freely through you. Relax the jaw. Take a deep inhale. And gently begin to bring the awareness back into the body. And take a deep inhale. Relax even more deeply. And take a moment here, yogis, to congratulate yourself for caring for this physical vehicle with such reverence today. This vehicle taking you on this journey this time around. And begin to move fingers and toes, arms and legs. And turn the head to one side and then the other. Take a big stretch up overhead and stretch all the way down one side of the body. And then the other. Hug the knees to the chest and roll on over to your left side. And come on up to a seated position. Keep the eyes closed. Bring your hands together at your heart center in Anjali Mudra, where we connect our everyday self with our infinite self. All that is in me bows to all that is in you. We are all one. Namaste. Thank you for the privilege, Waheguru, fearlessness and mercy at all times, yogis. And have a great day. We'll see you next week.